All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have a very gifted, talented, legendary individual that has had her voice on many legendary West Coast hip-hop classics and scattered all through Death Row Records. We have the one and only Nanci Fletcher right here, live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Such a nice introduction. I appreciate it.
I gotta say, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, so just the fact that I get to converse with you this evening and just be able to have a little bit of your time this evening just to interview you is such a tremendous honor, so thank you so much in advance.
Oh, thank you. That is so sweet. I appreciate it. Thank you.
But Nanci, I do know you are a very busy individual, so I'm going to dive right into this interview. But I want to take you back to the beginning of your glorious singing career, and I have to ask, what originally made you decide to actually pursue a career as being a vocalist? Because you are so talently gifted at what you do.
Thank you. You know, I was actually a dancer first. I used to dance in dance companies, and I moved from Brooklyn, New York to L.A., and then I met a few girls, and I would just, sing little songs around. I was in little plays. I would sing songs, but I never really planned to pursue a singing career. I wanted to be a dancer, but my friends heard me singing, and one year, I think it was 1990 or something like that, there was this big Barry White audition in L.A., and, I was from Brooklyn. I just like hip-hop, but all my friends were like, all the singers in L.A. were going to this audition, right? And they were like, Nanci, you should go. I'm like, oh, I'm not going. Barry White is older. I wanted to be around hip-hop. And they were like, you're going. And they practically put my clothes on me and made me go. It was hundreds of girls, and Barry White picked me out of all the girls. And then I was like, okay. So I went around the world with him for, the next 2 years. And then it was a great experience. I'm so glad I did. I did my first song, actually, which is a trip. It had something to do with hip-hop. It was Barry White was good friends with Big Daddy Kane, right? This great rapper, Big Daddy Kane. And Big Daddy Kane came to L.A. to do a song with Barry. And I was singing backup on that song. It's called All of Me. Baby, all of me. With Big Daddy Kane and Barry White. So that was my first experience. I was so happy to have some hip-hop around. Even though Barry White was great, that was my best experience. I learned so much. It was such clean, respectful tour. I went around the world 3 times, every country. Barry White was great. Then in '93, I came home, and one of my friends, my neighbor, he was Barry White. Well, he wasn't my friend. I'm sorry. He was my neighbor at first, but I didn't know him at the time. He was Barry White. Dr. Dre's bass player. And Dre was looking for a singer, and this guy's wife heard me singing. She said I was walking down the street singing. I don't remember that, but and she told him, so he was like, he came to find me down the street and asked everybody, and then he said, okay, can you come to the studio? It was the Village Studio in West Hollywood. He said, I want you to come meet Dre. And then I went down there the next day, and I met Dre, and then he put on one of George Clinton's records. He was like, can you sing to this? And I sang, because I knew George Clinton, in Brooklyn, George Clinton was really popular and funkadelic. I knew him, so I sang to the song, and Dre was like, okay, cool. He said, can you come here every day and just dance? He said, I might not need you, but I just need a singer here. I was like, okay. He said, I'll take care of, whatever, your living expenses, whatever. So I came the next day, and the first album we worked on was Snoop's album, Doggy Style. And then, the rest is history.
And just going back as well, when you actually mentioned that you had your very first song you ever worked on was actually, Barry White and, of course, Big Daddy Kane, I have to say, for any artist, that is actually, jumping up in the ranks so quickly. Just to have that as your first single, it must have been such a surreal experience to be such a very young woman with 2 monumental individuals from 2 separate genres of music.
Yes, I'm telling you, it was great because I had an older sister at the time, and before I even went to California, Barry White was really big in New York, and my sister used to go to his concerts and come home and tell me how, Barry was really great and everything. And when I first got the job with Barry White, I was really excited about that. But then, of course, I was always a big fan of hip-hop. I was in New York, in the 80s, and so Big Daddy Kane was always one of my favorites. Plus, he's a Virgo like me. So when he came to the studio that day, I was so excited because I wanted to be in hip hop anyway, like I said. So I was like, I thought it was just like a sign from God. It's like you're gonna, and so I was really hyped with them to work with both of them for real. It was really a great experience. And my mother, of course, she looked Barry White. I mean, you know that, and it was just great. So yes, I was so hyped about that.
And also as well, I know a few moments ago you actually just talked about how you originally got connected with Dr. Dre and how you got to work on Snoop's record, but I was wondering if you can actually tell us about how you actually originally got a contract with Death Row Records, and of course, like, what was your first interaction with Suge Knight like? Because I've heard, obviously, horror stories, but I've also heard some good stories as well, that he was actually a very, very good businessman and a very nice person to be around.
Well, let me clear this up. I was never signed to Death Row. I was Dre's artist. I was going to go with him because when I was going to be signed, Dre knew at that time that he was going to leave. So, this is, he told me, he said, I'm going to leave. He was like, no, I'm not going to sign. Because I did want to sign to Death Row. I was like, well, why can't I sign? Because this was after maybe like 94, after the Snoop album, the tour, and we had done Murder with the Cage, everything, and this was before Super Heads Ring, and he was like, no, just chill. I'm about to do my own thing. So I stayed, I didn't, I just, was working. So I was never signed to Death Row, But as far as Suge is concerned, different people's experience. I didn't have a good experience with him because this was, I came in, like I said, I was Dre's artist, and everybody had their favorites that they wanted Dre to work with. And I came in, and, they really, it was kind of like the Joey thing, I had Dre's attention. Dre only wanted to work with me as a female. He didn't work with anybody else. And they wondered why, but, it wasn't my fault. But, of course, people kind of take it out on you, so it was that kind of thing. And Suge really, because he had, he was working, he was really close to Jewel. Rest in peace, Jewel. She was one of the, she is the first lady of Death Row. She came up with Snoop and Dogg parties, and that was Suge's artist, basically. So he wanted Dre to work with her, but Dre wanted to work with me, so that was that whole thing, So for me, Suge was not, and he, really did a lot of things, like, I didn't get a lot of credit on stuff, he would put other people's names on credit, whatever. So that, I didn't have a great experience with him. I know some people might have, but I could say that I just don't think he was ready for that type of position. I don't think he understood the business. He didn't understand how it works, talent is the main thing. Dre was the attraction. Dre was the talent. And, when Dre didn't want to do what they said, they turned on him, too. So, and I was part of that. Me, Sam Smith, we were all a crew. Battle crew. So that was my experience with him,
And I also read as well that you were actually the first Death Row female vocalist to actually be featured in a Death Row music video that was actually titled Keep the Heads Ringin', that was actually performed by Dr. Dre. And since we're on the topic of Dr. Dre, I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind this infamous song. And of course, what was it like just being a part of West Coast hip-hop history?
Yes, that was a great thing, yes. And it's funny that it's true, I don't even know if Dre, I don't know if you've ever been in another video with another female. Yeah, that was, I'm telling you, it don't happen so fast. And I have to say back, I really didn't understand the gravity of what was going on. Because in the beginning, like I said, I'm from Brooklyn. We really never listened to West Coast hip-hop. So I wasn't really a big West Coast hip-hop fan at that time. And I really knew, I remember Dre and Snoop on the Deep Cover soundtrack, that song. I used to love that song. And I remember Dre Day with Jewel singing that song. I used to love that song in that video. That's as much as I know about them. And I, kind of heard about NWA. I knew their song. I did know. But I wasn't really into it. So, it was really not that much to me. But Dre's music always struck me as something that was different. It reminded me of East Coast music. And that whole experience was just really amazing. So when it came time to doing that song, Keep It Ringing, like, I didn't really know what it was for at first. I knew Dre was like, it was for a movie, blah, blah, blah. And this was on Priority Records. It wasn't a part of Death Row. We did this separately. So, just told me to come sing one day. I sang, and there was a couple of my friends, two girls, Barbara And then they did the ring ding dong part with me, ring ding dong, and then I did the hey you and all the other parts and the if you want to sit on down. So we did that song, and I didn't really know, like I said, what was going to happen. I didn't even know about the movie and everything. But then, if you didn't say anything, he just works, and then next thing you know, it's out. And that's one thing that I loved about working with Dre. The moment you do a song, you don't have to wait for it to come out. The next thing you know, I mean, it depends on what it is. But back then, even though he was overdue for, like he was late turning in projects, but he would always have somewhere for your stuff to go, and you would always hear your stuff on the radio, like, right away. That's what was so astonishing to me. But anyway, so, yeah, we did the song, and then he turned it in, and it was, then the movie, they started talking about the movie and everything, and I was like, wow. And they had the premiere, and blah, 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 and then I didn't even know that they were going to feature the video in the movie theater. The first thing you saw when you went in to see that movie back then was the video. And it was my face and everything, and my people back in New York, everybody was like, because I didn't even know, that's how everything happened at Death Row. Like, you would not know, and the next thing you know, something would be out all over the world. Like, Snoop album was the biggest thing ever. So, yeah, that experience was great, and then doing the video was great because I was able to meet the people that were in the movie Friday, Chris Tucker, Neil Long, the other couple of people in there, and F. Gary Gray was the director, and he was really popular back then. That was a great experience. It was all good. I really loved that whole period.
And also as well, before we move off the topic of Dr. Dre, the one thing I have to ask was, because obviously you shared many studio recording sessions with Dr. Dre, and I know you briefly throughout the conversation, you spoke about how his work ethic is, how once you did something, it'd be right out, but I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners just how phenomenal of a producer this man is, because I've heard stories about how this man literally is a perfectionist. He wants everything to be perfect.
Yes, and that's true. And, that's the reason why it takes him so long for things to come out, because he's never really satisfied. And, I think Dre's biggest gift is him knowing what the public likes to hear. He really does. And I think it comes from being a DJ. I figured that out because I was wondering why. He really knows what people like to hear, and his gift is mixing songs. Like, I think he's a great mixer. So when it comes out, his sound is just untouchable, and the public really is attracted to it. So, he tries to make sure everything is, perfect. I've heard stories, which I have to say I didn't experience that, but I hear people now saying that Dre like to make them do something 50 times over. And my problem was, I would always want to do stuff over, but he was like, no. It's like everything on Snoop's album I did was first take. Like, I was like, oh, can I do it over? He's like, no, that's good, I got it. But if he ever did allow me to do it over, he would keep like what he wanted. He's like, okay, I'm gonna keep mine, but okay, you can try it if you want to, but I still got what I want, and I was with it. So he was. I never, had that experience with him, badgering me about something, but I do know that if it wasn't right, it wouldn't go out. He would, have to go keep going back, and he's like, oh, that sounds good. No, it's just what he hears, and that's his gift. He's a great mixer, and he really knows what the public likes to hear. So he is a perfectionist, and I love. He's like my favorite person, period. But my favorite person to work with because I know, and he makes me sound better than everybody. I'm telling you, I can sing with a lot of people, but as far as when I hear my voice back, it really is great, like no other. When Dre mixes it, so.
And also, as well, you actually had the opportunity to collaborate with the late, great Tupac Shakur on his song, one of my personal favorite songs, "Holla at Me," that was actually featured on his double disc multi-platinum album "All Eyes on Me." I was wondering if you could actually just tell our listeners the story behind the recording session of this phenomenal song.
Oh my God, yes! I met Tupac on the California Love video. That actually Dre came to me. He brought Tupac over. He was like, yeah, hey, Tupac, this is Nanci, blah, blah, blah. And then that night I met Tupac. He was like, oh, yeah, I like your work. I want you to come work on my project. His project was actually finished. He said, we're in the mixing process, but I still want to put you on and in the mix. So come down. And his producer was Johnny J, one of his closest friends and producers, who was wonderful, who became a good friend of mine. Actually, Tupac called me, like, he took my number, he called me, like, a couple of days later, and I went down there, and then I did my first song, Holla at Me. I don't think that was my first one. Maybe, like, Who Do You Believe In or Unconditional Love was one of my first ones. But Holla at Me, that song, I'm telling you, I think I tell a story on my Instagram how supportive, first of all, Tupac was when you worked with him, how nice he was to me, how talented, how, you know, like when you're in the studio, in the booth, you know, and he'll come in and be like, yeah, come on, push it up, let's go, get, you know, just like a sports, you know, like a coach or whatever, like really hype and get you hyped and it makes you want to do your best, you know. He's like, yeah, that's good, it's really inspiring, and that's why I really enjoyed doing that song. So that song, he really did it for me live. He's like, sing it out, niggas out there, you know, and then I guess he's like, just go off, and I just started to ad-lib off the song. And Bobcat was the producer, the infamous Bobcat, who is LL Cool J's DJ. He was the DJ, he still is for years. And I want to congratulate them. They just got Rock and Roll Hall of Fame honor, LL Cool J, along with Bobcat and all of his crew. So Bobcat produced that song. It was just me and him and Pac in the studio. And, you know, like I said, Pac came in the booth and was hyping me in the booth in my ear. I was like, it was great. And that was one of my best experiences. And, you know, when I finished the song, as soon as I finished that day, he had Bobcat mix it really quick, and he took, you know, this was Can-Am Studio that we worked at. That was Death Row Studio. There were like 3 different rooms. And he must have been proud of the song because he took this mix and went to each room and started playing it for everybody in all the other rooms. He was like, that's Nanci Fletcher. You know, I was like, so just sweet of him. So, yeah. And he would always tell me after I recorded, even like if it was like the next day, he would come to me, pull me to the side. He was like, Nanci, thank you for lacing my song. I really appreciate it. Your songs are beautiful. So, you know, that complete side of him was something I really loved, and the public didn't get to see that much of it. You know, he was really a nice, respectful guy. I never had an issue with him. Always was respectful. No, nothing. Just work, you go home, you know, and that's it.
And of course, as we spoke about during the interview, like you were at Death Row from like pretty much the very beginning when Doggy Style came out. Because if I'm not mistaken, Doggy Style was pretty much the first big release that Death Row really actually got, that actually got commercial success. So I have to ask, when Tupac hit Death Row Records and actually got bailed out by Suge, did the atmosphere change at Death Row Records by any chance? Like, or was it still just the same? Like, because I do know that when Pac hit Death Row, like, I think a lot of the artists really upped their ante because Pac really took over those studios.
Yeah, that's true. But I have to correct you. The Chronic album was the first album on Death Row, which was a really big one. I think they're best. I'm always torn between, even though I'm on Doggy Style, but the Chronic and Doggy Style, I'm always torn between which is my favorite. But yeah, Chronic was the first. I don't even think Deep Cover was on Death Row. Maybe that was on a Soul or something like that. But anyway, yeah, Chronic was the first, and then Doggy Style. But yes, when Tupac came, the vibe did change a lot. At that point, Dre and I, we had kind of left. They only came back, you know, to do a couple of songs. Like we did Can't See Me with George Clinton on Tupac's album. And Dre did, of course, California Love, you know. He did that. I didn't get to make the original version of that. I was out of town, unfortunately. But I'm on the remix of California Love. Thank God. So, you know, Dre wasn't really up there a lot, like I said. The vibe was really crazy. You know, they weren't really feeling Dre because they really wanted him to do more. So, and I would work with Nate Dogg a lot. You know, I still came up there to work with Snoop and Nate Dogg. But, you know, this was during an era where everybody was kind of cool on Dre, and whoever Dre was around or kept close to him, they would treat them the same. So I really wasn't really welcome. But Nate Dogg would tell me, no, you know, you're coming up here because you're coming to work for us. And, you know, he was like, I'm packing, so don't worry. Because, you know, everybody was kind of afraid, you know, if they were going to be the ones to be. Nobody really trusted the situation. Even Nate Dogg, he would tell me, he was like, look, don't worry. He said, we don't know what's going on either. So the vibe did change. But on another note, it changed for the positive as far as great music. It was always hard work. I loved how Tupac's work ethic was. It was always, just hard work. And he was writing like 5 songs a day. He would have everybody do stuff on the spot. And then another bright light that came up there was MC Hammer. MC Hammer joined Death Row, and Tupac loved him. He was doing an album for him. I did a song called Unconditional Love and Too Tight, which is unreleased. But I remember Pac telling me he wrote those songs and he was like so excited about him. He was always like planning his album. So that was another bright light. Hammer was so positive when he came up there. He was just such a bright light, always dancing around and stuff. So there was a lot of positive things that came when Tupac came. And because I wasn't there a lot, I was at Dre's house a lot, I didn't really know the whole vibe, but I knew from Nate Dogg telling me it wasn't comfortable, it wasn't like, a really positive vibe as far as they were concerned and the whole environment. So,
And also, moving ahead in the timeline a little bit, in the year 1998, yourself and the group Third Degree actually released a collaborative single titled Love Got Me Swingin'. From what you can recall, can you tell our listeners a bit more about this single? And of course, what was it like actually working with the group Third Degree?
Okay, that was a song I did. Aren't they? Oh my God, I forgot about the yes. That was great. Aren't they from London or Europe or something? I forgot. It was great. I mean, I have to tell you, there was a lot of stuff I did back then, but I forgot. I was so busy. I was telling you, I was like the only female in LA working basically. I was working with everybody, Cube, blah blah blah. All the rappers, because once you work with somebody like Dre, everybody wants to work with you. It doesn't matter. They work. So I was just so busy, and then I was touring also because I was also a dancer behind like a lot of rappers. Besides Dre, I used to rap behind the rapper Domino. He had a song, Here We Go, Here We Go. I used to dance behind him. I used to dance behind and sing with Sunshine Anderson, different people. So I do remember them. That was a quick thing I did, and I really love that song. You got me swinging. Oh, I love that. And that session was great, but it was a quick session. I was in and out. I used to do songs for a lot of people overseas. They would come out. I would go to the session. So I thank you for bringing that up because not that many people know about that song. So thank you so much.
Hey, you are most certainly welcome. Me personally, I always love digging in the crates and finding them exclusive questions. Because I know a lot of people ask you about the Death Row days and whatnot. So I always like making sure I dig really deep in that crate and find something that will be a little refreshing for you to answer during an interview.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you. That's a real. I've never been asked that. People don't really go that deep. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's much respect.
Because I actually had that 12-inch back in the day as well. Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. But I definitely enjoyed just the vibes you guys put together in that. You guys had definitely some phenomenal chemistry together. I really wish you guys would have put together a full album, but I guess we got to be satisfied with the single.
Yeah, they were great to work with. I remember that. It was so great. It was such a good vibe in the studio. It was really quick, and I really loved them. I'm great. If I can get that vinyl for you, I'm going to get it for you and give it to you. I got to check that out. I'm sure it's somewhere online.
Because I remember as well, Jeffrey Collins, I think he did a phenomenal production job on that. I believe he's like from London, England, if I'm not mistaken, but Jeffrey did a phenomenal job.
Yes, it was from overseas. I remember that. It came out, I think he worked in Hollywood at the studio in Hyman, I think. Somewhere over there. I hope to see them one day again. I gotta look them up. Thanks for bringing that up. I should really be looking them up because when I get back out there, which I'm doing now, I need to revisit a lot of those people. I did a lot of songs like with these French guys, and Stormzy, whatever. I can't think. A lot of French rappers. My goal is to do a song with a rapper from every country. I did one from Russia, France. I did London. I did a few more. So, yeah. Thanks for remembering that. I gotta look them up.
And also as well, going to the year 2019, you were actually featured on Spice One's most recently released album, Platinum OG, on the song Driveway, alongside Rappin' Forte. I was wondering, could you tell us a bit more about that collaboration? And of course, what was it like just working with Spice One on Platinum OG?
Yes, the great Spice One. I was so honored. My late brother, God rest his soul in peace. God rest his soul. Rest in peace. He died in 2018. you know, he found out about that. I don't know, you know, cause I just got on the internet. Like, I wasn't really into the internet. You know, I'm old school. I got on in 2018. But my brothers, my family, they're always so proud of me, you know. They've been on there. He kept telling me, you know, he used to follow different people and talk about me and fact, whatever. So I guess he's talked to somebody. I don't know if it was the producer, my guy, Ryan Elder. But anyway, yeah, it was my brother's hookup. And, of course, when he told me it was a song with Spice One and Rapper Forte, you know, I was a big Rapper Forte fan, still am. The Bay, you know. And then I was like, that would be great because I've worked with a few people from the Bay. Like I worked with, oh, my God, I can't think of this guy's name. But a few people, I wish I could right now, but I'm just, yeah. But, you know, Spice One is like, one of the greatest in hip-hop, and I was so honest. So, yeah, I did. I hopped in there right away. It took me a while to get it done, though, because I was always so busy, but I'm so honored to be on that track. And, you know, actually, I recorded it because I'm back east. I recorded my part back here. I wasn't in the studio with them, but, you know, we always communicate online, especially with Spice One, actually, and Ryan and Vince Bryan, another one of the producers and rappers that was a part of that project. It was a great experience, and the song came out great. I loved it. I really am so proud to be a part of that project and to have recorded with him, you know, in my lifetime. That's a great thing, a great accomplishment. I love him.
And also, as well, I have to ask, because I do know, obviously, you have such a huge, extensive career. If we were to speak about it, we'd be here, honestly, all right into the early morning hours of tomorrow. But I have to ask, what is next for yourself? Is there anything we happen to miss during this evening? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the Canadian FM dial this evening.
Yeah, you know, well, I'm doing a few things, you know, because I've been working on stuff for the past couple of years. I got back in the industry because I was really just going to do Broadway, but I was like, after my brothers passed away, I was like, they really wanted me to get back in. So I've been doing a few things, but I'm doing something in the metaverse right now. I don't want to say, it'll be, well, it's going to be, I'll be talking about it in the next couple of weeks. I'll post it. I did a song with Better Meta first, and I think, well, I don't want to say, it's two people involved, one of the companies. But I'll let you guys know I'm going to post it, and, you know, anything I do, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to send you stuff first thing I do. I am doing some recordings. I'm doing a couple songs with a couple of major rappers on the East Coast. You know, I haven't worked with a lot of. I did a song with Nas though on one of the soundtracks called "Gangsta Tears," but not a lot with my people on the East Coast. I'm working on stuff like that, so I will keep you guys posted. You know, nothing that really firm right now, except for the stuff I'll be doing in the metaverse. I'll post that song soon.
And also, Nanci, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything you currently got going on.
Oh, thank you so much. And I just want to say, this has been a great interview. You did such a great interview, and I really appreciate it. On Instagram, it's Nanci, Nanci.Fletcher, F as in Frank, Letcher, and all the other social media platforms, it's Nanci Fletcher, Facebook. I don't do much on Twitter, but I got to start, doing stuff. Everything else, YouTube, everything is, I'm going to release, like I said, I'm just getting back in the mix, so I'm going to start, I don't even have a Wikipedia page, they're working on that now, doing, a few things, and I will, keep everybody posted, especially you, because I really appreciate this interview. It's great, really quick. Yes, great questions, and I appreciate it. And I want to say what's up to your audience. And you're in Canada. Oh, my God, Canada. I can just smell the clean air right from where I am.
I got to say, it's definitely very humid down here in Canada lately, but we do have some pretty fresh, clean air.
Yes, I love Canada. It's there. And I love your, what is it, a Prime Minister? What is it, your Prime Minister? What's his name?
Oh, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister.
Yeah, he's real cool, I'm telling you. He knows what's up. You know what I'm saying? He does. He knows what's up. people be free, you know. But anyway, we won't go into that. But yes, peace to Canada. Fist bump to Canada.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, you are most certainly welcome for the interview. It definitely was an honor, and I do hope down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon, Nanci. But for now, definitely have yourself a wonderful night, and of course, enjoy the rest of the weekend, the few hours that we have left of it as well.
Yes, you are great. Thank you so much. I really like you. Peace and love to you and much success. Thank you, guys.
You as well, Nanci. Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Okay, you too. Bye.